The Danish and Norwegian alphabet is based upon the Latin alphabet and has consisted of the following 29 letters since 1917 and 1948. Listen to a Danish speaker recite the alphabet in Danish. The letters C, Q, W, X and Z are not used in the spelling of indigenous words. They are rarely used in Norwegian, where loan words routinely have their orthography adapted to the native sound system. Conversely, Danish has a greater tendency to preserve the original spelling of loan words. In particular, a C that represents is almost never normalized to S in Danish, as would most often happen in Norwegian. Many words originally derived from Latin roots retain C in their Danish spelling, for example Norwegian centrum versus Danish centrum. The foreign letters also sometimes appear in the spelling of otherwise indigenous family names. For example, many of the Danish families that use the surname Skov spell it sh. Letter names in Danish. Letter names in Norwegian. Diacritics, Norwegian. Norwegian also uses several letters with diacritic signs, a copyright, A, R cubed, R squared, accent, and A. The diacritic signs are not compulsory, but can be added to clarify the meaning of words which otherwise would be identical. One example is in gut versus a copyright in gut. Loan words may be spelled with other diacritics, most notably a 1/4, A and a copyright, following the conventions of the original language. The Norwegian vowels A and En never take diacritics. The diacritic signs in use include the acute accent, grave accent and the circumflex. A common example of how the diacritics changed the meaning of a word is for, far cubed R, far squared R, far R. Danish. Standard Danish orthography has no compulsory diacritics, but allows the use of an acute accent for disambiguation. Most often, an accent on E marks a stressed syllable in one of a pair of homographs that have different stresses, for example endream versus a copyright endream or ALLE versus ALA copyright. Less often, any vowel including a yen may be accented to indicate stress on a word either to clarify the meaning of the sentence, or to ease the reading otherwise. For example, jegstar cubed D op versus jegstod R cubed P. Hunden Ghana versus Hunden GCR. Most often, however, such distinctions are made using typographical emphasis or simply left to the reader to infer from the context, and the use of accents in such cases may appear dated. A common context in which the explicit acute accent is preferred is to disambiguate NA and a copyright T in central places in official written materials such as advertising, where clarity is important. History: the letter A was introduced in Norwegian in 1917, replacing or. The new letter came from the Swedish alphabet, where it has been in official use since the 18th century. Similarly, the letter A was introduced in Danish in 1948, but the final decision on its place in the alphabet was not made. The initial proposal was to place it first, before A. Its place as the last letter of the alphabet, as in Norwegian, was decided in 1955. The former digraph or still occurs in personal names, and in Danish geographical names. In Norway, geographical names tend to follow the current orthography, meaning that the letter En will be used. Family names may not follow modern orthography, and as such retain the digraph or where En would be used today. Or remains in use as a transliteration, if the letter is not available for technical reasons. Or is treated like A in alphabetical sorting, not like two adjacent letters A, meaning that while A is the first letter of the alphabet, Or is the last. In Norwegian, this rule does not apply to non-Scandinavian names, so a modern atlas would list the German city of Aachen under A but list the Danish town of Åbenrå under A. In Danish, the or rule is applied, as long as it denotes one sound, for example German Aachen or Dutch Kral, but if it denotes two sounds like an extra bed, the two is assorted as two. The difference between the Dano-Norwegian and the Swedish alphabet is that Swedish uses the variant A instead of A, and the variant A instead of AA similar to German. Also, the collating order for these three letters is different in Swedish. A, AA and A are sorted together in all Scandinavian languages, as are A and A, and even in Finnish this is done so. In current Danish and Norwegian, W is recognized as a separate letter from V. In Danish, the transition was made in 1980. Before that, the W was merely considered to be a variation of the letter V, and words using it were alphabetized accordingly. The Danish version of the alphabet song still states that the alphabet is 28 letters. The last line reads "Otogtyv skal destien," that is, that makes 28. However, today the letter W is considered an official letter. Computing standards. In computing, several different coding standards have existed for this alphabet. DS 2089 in Nova Scotia, 4551-1, later established in International Standard ISO 646, IBM PC Code page 865, ISO 8859-1, Unicode, see also, Danish phonology, Norwegian phonology, Icelandic orthography, Futhuk, the Germanic runes used formally, Swedish alphabet, spelling alphabets, references. External links, type Danish and Norwegian characters online.